Okay, well, hopefully that's not what's there. She's going to come back, that's it. Thank you. Does that answer? All right, you good? Anybody need to reenact it? All right, thank you both. I'm going to break down some of that, but specifically why you have a field liaison. We just kind of saw the active part of why you have a field liaison. They got all this training about learning contracts. And they're there to help you. The same like the exercise we did earlier. You know, they've gotten that kind of training, that kind of work. I think all of the field liaisons are social workers. Well, almost all. Yeah, they're all social workers. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they are familiar with all that competency set. They are not, active students like yourself. As a field liaison myself, I actually have my students that I'm a field liaison for also give me their class information. Not your syllabi, because I can put my hands on it myself, but I have you list for me, I'm in 732, I'm in 710, and I put that on my information that I keep track of, because then I know the assignment you're working with. And I know when you have class. Now your liaisons will ask you the same thing. They do want to know that. Okay, you're in field on Thursday and Friday, you have class on Mondays and Tuesday mornings and Thursday night. I like to know that as a field liaison. You should let your liaison know your full schedule. Just like you let your field instructor know your full schedule, let your liaison know also. That's more of that communication. They want the relationship to work. That's part of the contact, I think in chapter 5, like 2 pages on the field liaison. And it says, I'm on the wrong page for it, but I think it's by the first week of September that you should, is that correct, Alice?
Yes, we're giving the assignments to the liaisons tomorrow and Monday, and I'd like to give them a jump start. So the liaisons will get their assignments first. So I'm having to make some last minute changes tomorrow based on some shuffling. So then I'll send them out to the field liaisons by the end of the day tomorrow. Y'all won't get yours until the end of the week next week. But I like to give the liaisons a jump start to give them an opportunity to contact you because I don't want y'all to contact them before they contact me. So the main thing is to try to make sure that you establish contact by around that first week of September.
Around that first week of September, you should hear from your liaison. They will contact you. They also contact the field instructor, although the primary communication is on you. And most of the field liaisons are part-time employed somewhere else. So when you're talking about making appointments, making contacts, that information, they also have information to share with you. You can call me any time until 10 p.m. Or or I prefer to be emailed, but if you email me Monday or Tuesday, I'm not going to reply for Wednesday because it's my job stuff. Get that kind of stuff established so you know what to expect. Also, and I'm going to reiterate this only because we just said it, but it always happens every year. Not say don't contact your field liaison until they contact you, but give them that opportunity to contact you. Because have any of you ever received like 25 emails from people trying to introduce themselves? Or voicemails? All in the same 48-hour period? It's kind of disturbing and it drives you nuts. And you don't know who they are. So what happens, that's why we give them a chance. I've had that happen to me. I actually had that, in fact, it's kind of funny. This year, Jennifer taught a BSW class last year. That due to a schedule conflict. She can't teach it this semester, so I'm teaching it. And all of a sudden, all her students are like, who are you? I signed up for Jennifer's class. Thank you, I'm an instructor, I'm faculty too. I don't really care. Where's Jennifer? So it is a little off-putting, despite being a social worker. So it gives them an opportunity to contact you. Some field liaisons, and again it's a question to ask them, but some field liaisons don't check their email or voicemail on weekends. You want to know that information. So find out that stuff. Same as you would with your field instructor. But find out that kind of information. I know one liaison at least who she made herself a Google Mail account that's like, USC star liaison. That's like her name. But that's it. That's the only one she uses. Like, don't go looking her up. She's not going to respond to you if you find her email somewhere else. This is her liaison email. And she told somebody that with her finger like that. This is my liaison email here. Okay. So, but whatever, be respectful of that kind of communication. It helps people keep things separate. I bet most of you, if I asked, have like 2 or 3 email accounts, right? And we just gave you another one. Said you have to use ours. We're kind of demanding that. So, do that kind of thing. Timeline stuff. Your learning contract will go to your liaison while it's still a draft so that they can give you feedback on it. They should give you feedback on it. Even if it's to say, this is well written, I like it. They should give you feedback on it. If you give it to them and they acknowledge receiving it and they don't tell you anything at all, contact Dr. Riley.
Or ask them first.
Well, yes, ask
Do
them.
you have some feedback for me?
Yeah.
Does this mean that you approve, disapprove, or can I approve it?
Yeah. Make sure you get there. It is before. And what happens, you'll get that feedback from them. They might, like I said, they might have some specific, well, maybe you could rephrase this one, or I think this is what you're trying to get to, let's talk about how you wrote it, that kind of stuff. And so then you'll have a final version that your field instructor and you sign off on. I think there's a sign off for the field liaison.
There is, but that
On it.
doesn't have to be done before that.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Once you and your field instructor sign off on the final, that's the one you're going to upload and send in to Dr. Breitmeyer in the field office via Blackboard. There is a slot for your liaison to sign off on. They don't need to sign that hard copy that you're uploading. You've had that back and forth with them, that they've given you feedback. Then when they come and see you in person at your site, you can still get it out and have them sign it, so you're holding on to the hard copy that everyone has signed. They do not typically come visit you until mid-October, and you've already had to upload your learning contract.
And the purpose of that visit is not your learning contract, it's a lot different.
Yeah, the purpose, and that visit is late. You're already there for 8 weeks, 9 weeks. So there's a lot to cover in that visit. That's not like this is a learning contract. That's just one piece of what's going on. Timesheets. I would also be either showing your field liaison or an email contact or phone contact, letting them know that you're keeping up with it. I regularly do 16 hours each week. I missed, one day last week, but we're going to make it up. I'm going to come in next Thursday. Make sure your liaison is keeping up, because having that meeting like in November, when, well, I missed, 40 hours when I was sick, and your liaison didn't even know, and that's kind of causing yourself some stress and causing them some stress, and you fall behind. You don't need to do that. If your liaison does not, again, need a copy of the timesheet, that's still something you're going to upload at the end of the semester. We send out a reminder and a time for you to upload your timesheet, but just keep up with all of it. They will get the call in. One of the things that happens with the timesheet is when you fall behind your timesheet, your liaison usually knows, because your field instructor tells them. I haven't seen Cindy in 14 days. And the liaison is like, I just talked to her last night. Well, she hasn't come to work. That's like real conversations. So keep that kind of contact going. Some liaisons, I don't think all this year, but sometimes your liaison may ask you to do a process recording. It'll be related, that typically is related sometimes to your learning contract, to the tasks that you're doing at your placement, and to you perhaps saying, this is a challenge for me. I'm talking to clients or establishing rapport with this specific population we work with. Like, it's hard for me to establish, with kids, and here I am, I'm with a school social worker in the elementary school, and I'm really kind of nervous around 8-year-olds. So, okay. So your liaison, after discussing with you in a meeting the first time, might say, well, I'll send you some material on a process recording. Why don't you do a process recording? And that'll give you something to use both in supervision with your field instructor, and hold on to that process recording, or even send it to me via email. And so I can see progress that you're making. This was something we discussed when we met. And I do want to see that you're getting the opportunity. We sat with the field instructor. We said, well, let's give her the opportunity to do this. Well, I want to see they're giving you the opportunity they said they're going to give you. And so let's send that stuff back and forth and communicate it. I don't know if we have no social workers in here. I don't think yet. I was going to say in some like undergrad programs, and like where I got my BSW, I had to do 6 process recordings each semester for field. So it's a routine, useful thing. When I worked at DAJ and I supervised professionals who were not interns, I made them do process recordings for me. Which professionals can be real wise asses, by the way. So, you know. But because I used it in supervision, process recordings, which you'll learn about in more detail, but it helps share both the verbatim conversation you're having and the internal dialogue and emotional reaction that you're containing. So when you say something, you know, why are you coming to this school and your sister goes to the elementary school down the block? It looks at you and goes, we're not sure who her dad is, so she spends time with 4 different dads. And you keep a straight face and you're thinking, oh my God, this is like a Maury Parkich moment, let's call Jerry Springer, get him out here. You keep that to yourself, but you put it on your process recording. So you can have that discussion. And so we can talk about those kinds of things. Your liaison, some things for you to know about your liaison visit, especially the first visit. Your field instructor may not do this to you, but they will like it if you do it to them. First, plan out that visit. I know they're coming. Talk to your field instructor about, are there specific things that you want me to show the field liaison? Do you want me to take them on a tour? Do you want me to explain them about the population we work with? Do you want me to talk about the programs that I'm going to get to work with? So you can get a head start if you need to gain more information. You may not have the experience yet, but you know, I'm gaining information on the specific population because I'm doing more with them. I used to have my students, when I was a field instructor, give the liaison a tour of the facility without me. And it was short, like 10 minutes walking. And sometimes we didn't do it because the student very kindly told me, you know, while they were watching the liaison park their car, I don't think I want to do this yet. I don't know everything. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. We'll do it together. Now. But that way your liaison can learn about the facility. They get to see you kind of a little bit in action. People know you besides the social worker. You know, so you get some of that. Now sometimes you have to lead the tour, so to speak, and your field instructor has to accompany you. That's fine. Tell them you want to lead the tour, though. You get to show off a little bit in front of your liaison, show what you know. Your liaison will have a preference for how they meet with you all. They should never exclusively meet like with just the field instructor or just you, because your liaison is coming to meet with both. Now they might say to you up front, what I do when I come for these meetings is, I like to meet for the student for 15 minutes one-on-one, I like to meet with the field instructor for 15 minutes one-on-one, and then I like to sit all 3 of us together. Now, if they say that up front, that's okay. You've given a process for this meeting to occur. The field liaison is going to do that. But sometimes, we're just all going to meet together. That is to protect you, to protect the field instructor, protect the liaison too. That does not mean you can't contact the liaison. You know, I was thinking about what we said in our meeting, and now you have a discussion about it. Now what the liaison is likely going to say is, well, you know, they're going to help you through that, and then they're going to talk about, well, how are you going to bring this back to your field instructor? You know, you need to share this information there as well. And your liaison, I'll use Jennifer as a description, but your liaison might want to role play this with you. might want to help you through the dialogue, might want to just give you some support and encouragement, and that's okay. You're establishing these relationships, that's okay. It's about empowering you to speak up, be assertive, advocate for yourself. The common call, and I actually got this call from an advanced standing student last week. They started on Monday, and I think we got that call on Tuesday. Yeah, I got a call on Tuesday. I don't like my placement. I don't think it's going to give me what I need.
On Monday.
Yeah, I think we got the call on Monday, but it's like it's been 8 hours. What have you done? Okay. So, but I asked the student about it. I called her, told me about it. She told me what she was thinking, and vented some, which was necessary. Venting is good.
4 hours, she called it more.
At lunch, there you go, 4 hours. She had to go through the 8, because I didn't talk to her until that evening, so she finished the 8 hours. But she got to vent some. And then I asked her if she had spoken with the field instructor about what she, as a student, wanted to get out of placement. And I phrased it like that on purpose. I didn't say, well, did you tell her what your problem is? Well, have you sat down and talked about what you would like to get this year? I mean, you've only been there one day, and it's block week, so they know you're going to be there all week. Have you decided that? And they hadn't had that conversation, but they had set a time, which was going to be like Thursday, when they were going to sit down for a more specific hour-long discussion. And so I encouraged her to do, well, take notes, or whatever you do for you, to remember concerns you have. Some people take notes, some people just remember, so that when you have that discussion, you can go through the week and say, well, this is how I felt on Monday, and this is the question I had, and go through it. I'm assuming everything turned out okay, because I told her 3 times to call me, let me know how it went, and here we are, 10 days later, and I haven't heard from her again. So, but I actually have heard from her field instructor who said that they sat down, they talked, they made some adjustments already, but they're very happy, the field instructor is very happy to have the student there. And I assume the student feels the same way, because I haven't heard from her. Again, I'm hoping you haven't either. But it's for you. And your liaison is there for that support role. I didn't tell her what specific things to say, but I described this as the action that needs to happen. You need to initiate this contact. You need to initiate this communication. And for many of us, and I don't mind raising my hand, I'm one of the us, I'm not good at the stand up to a superior, on the spot, right now, decide to do it. I need a day to prepare myself. Because it's not, you're not mad, but you're kind of they're still your superior. I want to honestly present my ideas in a clear way to advocate for myself, but I need a day to think about it. So your liaison can help guide you through the process. And again, not tell you what to say, but guide you through the process. That's what they're for. They can tell you something you're going to say is probably more extreme than it ought to be. But that's why you're having that discussion. Can I say this to my field instructor? You have to fix this. No, I wouldn't really phrase it quite like that. But I would tell your field instructor that you're not comfortable. And then explain why. And I statements are really powerful. Don't forget you're talking to a social worker. They all got this same message when they were students. Use I statements, own the problem. Don't blame others. Okay. That's the kind of stuff you discuss with them. Your field liaison also should know you have some kind of crisis. I don't mean related in field. The family crisis, the car accident, the thing, anything like that. Let your field liaison know. One, they communicate with the college, which you may or may not have. I'm not saying you can't call us and tell us, but you might not have done that yet. And the field liaison will communicate with Dr. Reitmeyer, with us in the office, just so we know what's going on. And they also will advocate for you, both to your field instructor and to us. this is really upsetting to the student. You know, although she missed 2 days, I think she really would benefit from a little more time off. She needs time to get herself together. Let's make a plan for how that can happen. When you're thinking, I can't miss any more school, and this is terrible, and you're just going to freak out. Unfortunately, that happens. And like you've heard us say already, just by the numbers of students, 500 students, even just 250 of you, one viewing here, probably about 10 viewing here, you're going to have this happen if life happens. So use these supports that you're making. I think that is close to the gist. Oh, and the field liaison does have an evaluation that they can keep at the end. I think they have 2 actually this year.
You actually get to do an evaluation of the
Well, yeah.
field liaison.
You will get to do an evaluation of your field liaison, and it is confidential. As you've heard Dr. Brotmeyer describe, all field liaisons have a number of students. So they do not get feedback that's, you know, I know Patricia said that because she's the only student I work with. So, you know, they don't have that kind of feedback. I mean, you've heard I've got like 45 students. I get like you get like a compiled feedback of your evaluation at the end of the year. So they don't know
After you're done.
anything about who gave them a specific response. So you do that evaluation. And it's also, that's done through Google Survey Monkey. That's done through Survey Monkey. And you actually, I want to say you get 2 notices. You actually get a notice from us, an email that's like, we're getting ready to send you the survey link. And then you get another email that's like, here's the link. You know, and if your liaison is paying attention, you also get your liaison telling you, did you get the survey link? You need to fill out the survey link. Unless they really don't like you, then they'll say, no, I'm just kidding. But so you have plenty of time to do that. You're in class too. It's kind of, those things all occur at the same time. So at the same time the year is winding down and you do like evaluations for your classes, this is one of your classes. So your liaison in effect is one of those people you're evaluating. Do those kind of things. Is there any questions about liaison stuff? Yes, ma'am.
My question is, can field instructors go to the College of Social Work with problems with the student before talking to the student about it?
They do, I will tell you, the great majority of the time, they're directed back to the field liaison, or the field liaison is actually brought into the discussion with us.
If they do you guys communicate that with us so that we know that we're doing something wrong? Or do you ask them to communicate to us?
We do the
Yes,
same
we
thing
do, yeah.
We redirect them, just like we do you.
Other questions, concerns, feedback? I'm trying to sneak down. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer on supervision, I think.
Yes.
Right? Supervision stuff.
I do, yeah. Talking all day.
How's everybody doing? I know, we're almost done. We're almost done. Do me a favor, guys, because this is one of the most important segments we're going to talk about today. Everybody up on your toes. Stretch it out, get a deep breath, give somebody a hug a social worker. Right? Hug it out, guys, hug it out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. More awake. I'm more awake. Did I lose anybody yet? Are you going to the bathroom? Are you coming back? Please come back. All right. All right, are we up? Are we awake? Louder. Yes. All right. Thank you. I'm going to talk to you guys about supervision, and this is one of the most important components of your field placement. So my funny factor may be a little low. I know. Serious stuff, guys. Serious stuff. You guys can come visit me anytime. Field office. funny then. So I'm going to talk about supervision in a couple different levels. I'm going to talk about it in the nuts and bolts level, kind of the periphery stuff. Then I'm going to talk about it really from the educational perspective and from the personal and kind of professional growth development perspective. So it's kind of like the onion that Dr. Reitmeyer was using as an analogy. I'm going to kind of pull back the layers as we go through this. So supervision during your field placement is really one of the most core components of your field practicum. You guys are required, and your field instructors are aware of this, to get 1 hour of supervision for every 30 hours you guys are in field. Now, generally how that breaks down is field instructors will choose to do either a half an hour with you once a week, or they'll choose to do an hour with you every other week, okay? So when I say supervision, what do I mean by supervision? Let's operationally define this. Supervision can happen anywhere, anytime, right? How many of you guys in a human service organization know what I mean when I say on the fly? Okay. Does somebody want to give me an example of on the fly supervision? Anybody?
Cool. Maybe we're driving to a group home and we're in the car for an hour together.
Exactly. So we're driving, I'm with my supervisor, we're driving to a group home, so we've got some time to kill in the car. So we're talking about cases. We're talking about things that are going well, things I'm struggling with, and we kind of do a mini triage supervision, right? How many of you guys have experienced that style? Okay. How many of you guys have been in a group with someone, and then after group you guys kind of debrief, right? That was a hard group today, right? And you guys kind of process together how that went, okay? So that's a form of supervision. That's what we call informal supervision, in the moment, on the fly supervision. But when we talk to you guys, and if you guys want to follow kind of what I'm talking about, it's on page 34 in your handout. I'm talking about formal, scheduled, structured supervision, okay? Now we schedule supervision, why?
Make sure it happens.
Make sure it happens, and to reduce the number of interruptions. Now, if all of a sudden you just walked into the field education office one day and decided you needed immediately to talk to Dr. Reitmeyer, if she didn't know that you were coming, she might not be there. She might be in class, she might be in a meeting, working on a deadline, or her phone might ring 5,000 times. So it's pretty hard to get her undivided attention when she wasn't able to plan to make sure that that time is safeguarded from interruptions, okay? So it's very important, and this is a block week dialogue, guys. When you guys are there Monday or Tuesday, sit down with your field instructor. How do you want to do supervision? Do you want to set every Wednesday at 3? And that's our schedule? Do you want to set it after every supervision session? Like next week we'll meet Thursday, next week we'll meet Friday. You guys need to be proactive in having these dialogues. Why do you think it's important to schedule and safeguard your supervision time? Because what happens at agencies, guys? People get busy. Okay? How many of you guys have had your agenda for the day, right? What you're going to do for the day. And then you get in there and you're like, yeah, no. Because you've got this crisis, this fire, that person quit. Oh my God, Carf's coming today? What? Surprise audit. Jake was here. Right? So what do they say about the best laid plans, guys? Subject to change. Okay? So that's why it's so important to schedule your supervision. That's number one. Number two, guys, is and we put this responsibility on you, because you guys are really driving your field learning experience. We ask all of you to develop an agenda ahead of time, okay? And your agenda, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be snazzy, we don't even have a form, okay? You guys can put it on a sticky note and stick it on their monitor, you can email it to them, interoffice mail, whatever works for you. But you need to come up with at least 4 or 5 things that you want to talk about in your supervision. And part of the reason we ask you guys to come up with the agenda is because, let's say your field days, how many of you guys are doing Wednesday, Thursday field? Okay. So let's say something happens on Thursday in field with a client. How many of you guys have had an experience with a client where you walked out of that interaction and you were like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have said this. I don't feel really good about how that went. And you second guess yourself. How many have had that? Right? Now if that happened to you on Thursday, right? Then that weekend you go home, you go to the movies, you go shopping, right? You get coffee, you had a great weekend. By the time you get into supervision next week, is that in your forefront of your mind? It's gone. It's gone. I'm talking about that new Colin Farrell movie. Did you see that movie? Blew everything up, right? That's what you're talking about, water cooler topic stuff in the morning. You're not talking about what happened last week. So my point is, you guys need to have some kind of journal with you, some kind of notebook. I know everybody's like tech savvy now, right? I'm sure there's an app for it. Melissa would know. But you guys really need to write this stuff down. If you guys have stuff that's going on in class, right? Because you guys are going to get a ton of stuff thrown at you in class about theory, theoretical approaches, interventions, and skills. So let's say you guys go to your 722 class, working with individuals and families, and you guys are going over some basic interviewing skills. You know, how to develop rapport, open-ended questions, seeking clarification, reframing. So let's say you didn't feel comfortable in class asking any questions, or let's say you ran out of time. You want to ask your field instructor, right? Make a note. Because guess what? They may have been out of their MSW program a long time. Okay? So how many of you guys have been out in the field and you just do it? You're using all the skills, but if somebody came to you right now and said, name the 10 skills you just used, how many of you would know those specific names for those skills? Right? We do it every day. But if you have a student come in and go, I want to talk about seeking clarification. Okay, I'm digging my books out before this supervision session, right? Or I want to talk about, satirotherapy. What? Nobody does that. What? We're talking about it in class, and I want to talk to you about it. Well, guess what? They may have learned that theory back in '89. They passed a test, they answered questions on the licensure exam, and that was the last time that came into their head. So if you want to have a dialogue with them about that, for them to be able to really have an effective dialogue with you, they may have to dig some books out, get your syllabus out, and get familiar with it. So it also gives them time to prepare to provide you the feedback and the information that you're asking for. And I think it's really important, guys, to also put in there, just general things that you want to talk about. What do I want to do with my career? What do I want to do for field placement next year? That's the stuff we like to call socializing to the profession. I mean, I know, personally, I spent a good month of my first field placement kind of processing and going through those stages of development that Dr. Reitmeyer talked about. How many of you guys are here because you want to help people? How many of you guys think that social workers can change the world? Oh, come on, more hands than that. So how many of you guys got into a social service agency and saw clients who weren't successful? Saw staff that were burned out? Saw policies that were ineffective and were barriers to treatment for some clients? How many of you have felt disenchanted? Right? Because sometimes the idea of social work and the idea of what we want to do, and then you start doing it, and you realize that there's things that you didn't think about, right? That's what I like to call kind of that socializing in the profession. That's what they're there for. They were in your shoes. They've gone through this. They're a mentor to you. That's part of their role. Your social work field instructor wears a lot of hats, and one of their hats is to be a mentor to you, okay? Why else is supervision important? Supervision is important because you guys will be in some form of supervision or providing supervision throughout your entire career in social work. How many of you guys want to go on and get advanced licensures? Okay, how do you get there? Supervision. How much supervision? Lots. Lots. So how many of you know that in some states, you have to pay for that supervision?
Every state, there's money for something about it.
Yeah. Okay? So if you guys are spending your hard-earned money for an hour of somebody's time to get that supervision, do you want to get the most out of it? Right. So is learning how to use supervision effectively a skill? Right? Okay. So why else do we care about supervision? Okay? It's a great opportunity for someone to give you feedback, right? About your performance, about your progress, about your strengths, about your weaknesses. You guys actually have indicators on your evaluation that your field instructor will evaluate you on how effectively you utilize supervision. Were you prepared? Did you help schedule it? Did you utilize the feedback that they gave you? Right? How many people in here like getting supervision? Okay. How many people in here like constructive criticism? Hey, I appreciate your honesty. I do. I appreciate your honesty. Is it always easy to get constructive criticism? No. So let's go back to Dr. Reitmeyer's example before, when she was doing DBT. She had no idea how her clients were perceiving her smiling all the time. And she had to sit down with her supervisor and receive that feedback. Then she had to incorporate that and utilize it, right? Because if your field instructor says to you, this is a problem, you can't go, huh, you think it's a problem. I don't.
Nobody's ever told me it's a problem.
Nobody's ever told me that's a problem, and that's your opinion.